The deep silence of space surrounded the mining vessel Endurance as it drifted through the Kuiper Belt. Inside the ship's bridge, Captain Natalie Wright sipped her coffee and watched the small team of miners working on a promising asteroid through the view screen. The operation was routine: identify resource-rich space rocks, extract the valuable minerals, and bring them back to Earth. The Endurance had been on this mission for 3 months already, and they had another 3 to go. "How's the extraction coming along, Martinez?" Natalie asked, pressing the comm button. Frank Martinez's voice crackled through the speaker. "Almost done, Captain. This rock's got more platinum than we expected. Should make the suits back home. Happy?" Natalie smiled. The company would indeed be pleased. Rare metals were becoming scarcer on Earth, making these deep space missions essential despite their dangers. She was about to respond when the ship's sensor officer, Lisa Benson, called out, "Captain, I'm picking up an unusual energy signature, approaching from the outer system," Lisa said, her fingers flying over the control panel. "It's not matching any known propulsion system in our database." Natalie set down her coffee and moved quickly to Lisa's station. "Show me." The screen displayed a fast-moving object heading directly toward their position. Whatever it wasn't natural and it wasn't human-made. "Get our people back from that asteroid now," Natalie ordered. "Sound general quarters." The alarm blared throughout the ship as crew members rushed to their stations. Natalie opened a channel to the mining team. "Martinez, pack it up immediately. We've got an unknown contact approaching fast." "Copy that, Captain. We're on our way back," Martinez replied, the concern evident in his voice. Natalie turned to her communications officer. "Ryan, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we've encountered an unknown object that appears to be artificial in nature." Before Officer Ryan Kelly could complete the transmission, the view screen flashed bright white. When Natalie's vision cleared, she saw a vessel unlike anything humans had ever built. It was massive, at least 3 times the size of the Endurance, with a sleek, almost organic design that seemed to shimmer with an internal light. "My God," Lisa whispered. "Captain, I think we just made first contact." The bridge fell silent as everyone stared at the alien ship. Natalie forced herself to remain calm, though her heart raced. This was the moment humanity had speculated about for centuries. "Ryan, broadcast on all frequencies. Standard greeting package," she ordered. Ryan nodded, sending the carefully prepared message that Earth's scientists had created decades ago for this very situation: mathematical sequences, basic atomic structures, and simple pictograms designed to show peaceful intentions. Minutes passed with no response. The mining shuttle was halfway back to the Endurance when Lisa called out again, this time with alarm in her voice. "Captain, the vessel is powering up something. Energy readings are off the charts." Before Natalie could react, a beam of intense, purple light shot from the alien ship, striking the mining shuttle. The small craft exploded instantly, vaporizing Martinez and his team in a flash of light and debris. "No!" Natalie shouted, gripping the console in front of her. Horror and disbelief swept through the bridge. The alien ship turned toward the Endurance, its weapon systems clearly powering up again. "Evasive maneuvers," Natalie ordered, snapping back to her training. "Ryan, keep broadcasting the greeting. Make them understand we're not a threat." The Endurance lurched as Chief Pilot Sam Wilson pushed the engines to their limits. But the mining vessel wasn't built for combat or speed. The alien beam struck their port side, ripping through the hull and sending the ship spinning. "Hull breach. On decks 3 through 5, Lisa shouted over the blaring alarms. "Life support failing." Natalie grabbed the ship-wide comm. "All hands, this is the captain. Abandon ship. Get to the escape pods now." The bridge shook violently as another blast hit them. A console exploded, throwing Ryan across the room. He didn't get up. "Sam, set collision course with that ship," Natalie said, her voice steady despite the chaos. Sam looked at her in shock. "Captain?" "Do it, then get to an escape pod. I'll handle the final approach." Sam hesitated for just a moment, then nodded and programmed the course. "It's done, Captain. Now go." "All of you," Natalie ordered the remaining bridge crew. Lisa and Sam helped carry the unconscious Ryan off the bridge as Natalie strapped herself into the pilot's seat. Through the view screen, she watched the alien ship preparing another attack. The Endurance was barely operational, but its mass could still do damage if she timed it right. As the bridge emptied, Natalie noticed something strange about the alien ship's attack pattern. Each time it fired, a section of its shimmering shield weakened momentarily. If she could hit that exact spot during that exact moment, she changed course slightly, targeting that specific weakness. The alien vessel fired again, hitting the Endurance's starboard engine. The ship shuddered, systems failing across the board. "Come on, just a little closer," Natalie muttered, fighting to keep the dying ship on course. At the last possible second, Natalie fired the emergency thrusters, adjusting their trajectory to slam directly into the momentary weak point in the alien shield. The impact was tremendous. The Endurance crumpled against the alien hull, but not before breaching its defenses. Natalie was thrown forward in her seat, pain exploding across her body. Through blurred vision, she saw the alien ship spinning out of control, a large section of its hull torn open. Emergency alarms blared as the air rushed out of the bridge. With her last conscious effort, Natalie pushed herself toward the bridge. Escape pod. Hours later, the small pod drifted silently among the debris field that had once been the Endurance and parts of the alien vessel. Inside, Natalie regained consciousness to the steady beep of the pod's life support system. Every breath was agony. She had at least 2 broken ribs, probably more. But she was alive. The pod's sensors showed another object nearby, the alien ship, severely damaged but still partially intact. More surprisingly, her scanners picked up 5 escape pods from the Endurance. Some of her crew had survived. Using the pod's limited communication system, Natalie contacted the other survivors. "This is Captain Wright. Report status." "One by one," they responded. Out of a crew of 24, only 9 had survived, including Sam, Lisa, and Ryan, who was injured but alive. "Captain, what now?" Sam's voice came through the speaker. Natalie looked at the damaged alien ship on her scanner. "Now we find out who attacked us and why. Sam, can you pilot your pod? We're going to board that ship." "Board it?" "Captain, with all due respect, they tried to kill us. And they might try to kill others if we don't stop them," Natalie replied. "Plus, we need their communication technology to contact Earth. Our pods don't have the range." There was a pause before Sam responded. "Understood, Captain." Setting course for the alien vessel. As the pod slowly maneuvered toward the crippled alien ship, Natalie felt a mix of fear and determination. Humanity's first contact had gone horribly wrong, but she wouldn't let it end here. Whatever these aliens were, they had just picked a fight with the wrong species. Boarding the alien ship was not easy. Captain Natalie Wright and her 8 surviving crew members used their escape pods to approach the damaged vessel carefully. Through the gaping hole in its hull, they could see strange lights flickering inside. The ship's artificial gravity was still working, which would make their entry easier. "Stay alert," Natalie said through the comm system in her suit. "We don't know what's waiting for us in there." Sam Wilson, the chief pilot, moved his pod closest to the opening. "I'm going in first, Captain." "Negative," Natalie replied. "We go in together. Safety in numbers." The crew guided their pods through the breach and into what appeared to be a cargo hold. The air had escaped from this section, but their suits would give them several hours of oxygen. They secured their pods and gathered at the inner doorway. "Lisa, what are your readings telling you?" Natalie asked. Lisa Benson checked her handheld scanner. "There's breathable atmosphere beyond this door. I'm also detecting several life forms, but the signals are weak. They might be injured." Natalie nodded. "Ryan, you and Dr. Peters stay here and guard our exit. The rest of us will explore and find their communication system." The door was partially damaged from the collision, allowing them to force it open manually. Beyond it was a corridor with strange, flowing patterns on the walls that seemed to pulse with light. The gravity felt slightly stronger than Earth normal, making each step require more effort. They moved cautiously through the ship, encountering no resistance. Most systems appeared to be running on emergency power. After 20 minutes of searching, they found what seemed to be the bridge, a circular room with multiple control stations and a large view screen. 3 alien bodies lay on the floor. They were humanoid but clearly not human, taller and thinner with grayish-blue skin and 6-fingered hands. 2 appeared dead, but 1 was moving slightly. Dr. Joan Miller, the crew's medical officer, approached the living alien carefully. "It's injured but alive," she reported. "The physiology is unlike anything I've seen, but the basic principles might be similar enough for me to help." "Do what you can," Natalie said. "The rest of you, see if you can figure out their communications system. We need to contact Earth." While Dr. Miller tended to the injured alien, Lisa and Sam examined the control panels. The symbols were completely unfamiliar, but Lisa noticed patterns in how they were arranged. "This section seems to be organized around communication functions," she said, pointing to a cluster of controls. "See how these symbols radiate outward? It might represent transmission." Sam nodded. "Worth a try. Let's see what happens." He carefully pressed what they guessed was the activation control. The view screen flickered to life, showing what appeared to be a star map. Lisa studied it intensely. "Captain, I think I can locate our solar system on this," she said after a few minutes. "And if I'm reading this correctly, these markings might indicate planned invasion routes." Natalie felt a chill run through her. "Are you sure?" "Not completely. But look at these patterns. They're systematic, moving from one star system to another, and this one leads directly to Sol." The injured alien made a strange gurgling sound. Dr. Miller looked up from her work. "Captain, I think it's trying to communicate." Natalie approached, carefully. The alien's eyes, large and entirely black, focused on her. It raised a 6-fingered hand and pointed at the screen, then made a slashing motion across its throat. "Is it threatening us?" Sam asked. The alien shook its head slowly, then repeated the gesture, pointing at the screen again. "I don't think it's a threat," Natalie said. "I think it's a warning." At that moment, the ship's systems surged with power. Lights brightened, and new symbols flashed across the control panels. "Something's happening," Lisa said urgently. "I think the ship is activating some kind of automated distress signal." "Can we stop it?" Natalie asked. "I'm trying, but I don't understand the systems well enough." The alien made another sound and gestured toward a different control panel. It struggled to rise but couldn't. "I think it's trying to help us," Natalie said. She helped the alien move toward the panel it had indicated. With shaking hands, the alien pressed a sequence of controls. The flashing symbols stopped and the ship fell silent again. "Thank you," Natalie said to the alien, not knowing if it understood. The alien touched its chest. "Kesnar," it said in a raspy voice. Then it pointed at Natalie. "Natalie," she replied, understanding the gesture. The alien, Kesnar, nodded slightly. It touched another control, and a new image appeared on the screen. A massive fleet of ships similar to the one they were on, gathered around what looked like a staging area. "The Vorian," Kesnar said with obvious effort. "Coming." "Vorian? Is that your species?" Natalie asked. Kesnar nodded weakly. "Dominion. Conquer all." It gestured at the fleet image again. "Soon." The implications were clear. This ship was just a scout for a much larger invasion force. "Why attack us?" Natalie asked. "We sent peaceful messages." Kesnar made a sound that might have been a bitter laugh. "Vorian way. Test defenses. Always." Its breathing became more labored. "I not agree. Not all Vorian want war." Dr. Miller checked her medical scanner with concern. "Captain, we're losing it." Kesnar gripped Natalie's arm with surprising strength. "Take ship. Data. Warn. Earth." Its black eyes seemed to bore into hers. 17 worlds. Fallen. You must be different. With those words, Kesnar fell back, its grip loosening. Dr. Miller checked again and shook her head silently. Natalie stood up slowly, processing what she had just learned. "Lisa, download everything you can from their systems. Sam, figure out how to pilot this ship." We're taking it back to Earth. Captain, are you sure? Sam asked. We barely understand any of their technology. We'll learn, Natalie said firmly. Earth needs to know what's coming. Kesnar gave us a chance and we're going to use it. Over the next 3 days, the small crew worked tirelessly to understand the alien systems. Sam gradually figured out the basics of the propulsion system, while Lisa downloaded terabytes of data from the ship's computers. They buried the 3 Vorian in space, with Natalie saying a few words for Kesnar, the unlikely ally who had given them warning. 6 weeks later, the damaged Vorian scout ship limped into Earth orbit, escorted by a swarm of military vessels that had intercepted them near Mars. As they were brought in to dock at the orbital station, Natalie looked down at the blue planet below. Earth had no idea what was coming. The Vorian Dominion had conquered 17 worlds without serious resistance, but they had never encountered humans before. They think we'll be easy prey like all the others, Natalie said quietly to her crew as they prepared to disembark. But they're about to learn that they just challenge the one species that doesn't lose. 5 years passed since Captain Natalie Wright brought the damaged Vorian scout ship back to Earth. In that time, humanity had learned much from the alien technology. The entire planet united in preparation for the coming invasion. Old conflicts were set aside as nations pooled their resources and knowledge. Admiral William Carter stood at the viewport of the orbital defense station vigilant, watching as the newest additions to Earth's fleet conducted training maneuvers. The ships were a blend of human and Vorian technology, not as advanced as pure Vorian vessels, but far more powerful than anything humanity had built before. Impressive, aren't they? Said a voice behind him. Carter turned to see Natalie Wright, now a high-ranking officer in Earth's Unified Defense Force. 5 years had changed her. She was harder now, more focused, with a long scar across her left cheek from the injury she'd sustained during first contact. They are, Carter agreed. But will they be enough? They'll have to be, Natalie said. Our long-range sensors detected the Vorian fleet entering the outer solar system yesterday. They'll reach Earth in less than a week. Carter nodded grimly. The moment they had been preparing for was finally here. How many ships? 50 that we can confirm, possibly more behind them. Against our 30. Carter frowned. Not great odds. We have something they don't, Natalie said. She tapped a tablet she was holding, bringing up an image of what looked like a handheld weapon. Dr. Mason's team finally perfected the sonic disruptor. It exploits the Vorian neural weakness that we discovered from Kesnar's medical scans. Carter took the tablet, studying the design. Will it work through their shields? It should. It operates on a frequency their shields weren't designed to block. Natalie took back the tablet. We're mass-producing them now for all ground forces. The fleet ships are being equipped with larger versions. Good. We'll need every advantage. Carter turned back to the viewport. Have you heard from Rodriguez? Natalie's expression darkened. His last transmission came through an hour ago. The Vorian rejected all terms. They're demanding unconditional surrender. I expected as much. Carter sighed. What were his exact words? The Vorian ambassador told him. Your resistance is an aberration. History has proven that domination is the natural order. You will be conquered or exterminated. And how did Rodriguez respond? A small smile touched Natalie's lips. He said, Then I guess you haven't met humans before. Congratulations. You just challenged the one species that doesn't lose. Carter laughed, despite the gravity of the situation. Bold words. Let's make sure we live up to them. 6 days later, the Vorian fleet entered Earth orbit. They made no attempt at communication, launching their attack immediately. Earth's defense fleet moved to intercept, while ground forces around the world prepared for invasion. Commander Samantha Kennedy stood on the bridge of the Defiant, one of Earth's most advanced ships. She watched as the massive Vorian vessels approached, their weapons charging. All hands to battle stations, she ordered calmly. Charge the sonic disruptors, hold fire until they're in optimal range. The Vorian fired first, energy beams slicing through space toward Earth's fleet. Several human ships took direct hits, their shields flaring under the assault. "Return fire," Samantha commanded. "Target their lead ships." The Defiant shuddered as its main weapons discharged, sending focused sonic waves toward the nearest Vorian vessel. On impact, the alien ship's movements became erratic. Through the view screen, Samantha could see Vorian crew members visible through the ship's windows, clutching their heads in obvious pain. "It's working," her weapons officer shouted. "Their shields can't block the sonic waves. All ships, focus fire on that vessel," Samantha ordered through the fleet-wide comm. Multiple human ships turned their sonic disruptors on the struggling Vorian craft. After a sustained barrage, its systems failed completely, leaving it drifting helplessly. But the victory was short-lived. The rest of the Vorian fleet adjusted their tactics, spreading out to avoid concentrated fire. They launched smaller fighters by the hundreds, overwhelming Earth's defenses through sheer numbers. Several human ships were destroyed, others crippled. "They're breaking through our line," Samantha's tactical officer reported. "Ships heading for Earth's atmosphere." Samantha made a quick decision. "Signal the fleet. New strategy. Don't try to hold the line. Let some of them through, then hit them from behind while the ground forces engage." The human fleet split into smaller, more maneuverable groups using the gravity of Earth's moon and nearby satellites for cover. What had begun as a traditional space battle evolved into a chaotic series of hit-and-run attacks. Human ships would strike quickly, then retreat before the more powerful Vorian vessels could bring their main weapons to bear. On Earth, the Vorian established beachheads in major cities across the globe. Their ground forces were as formidable as their fleet, tall, armored soldiers wielding advanced energy weapons. But they encountered resistance unlike anything they had faced on other worlds. In Chicago, civilian engineer Frank Martinez led a network of resistance fighters. They had prepared for years, building hidden bunkers and stockpiling weapons. When the Vorian landed in Grant Park, Frank's group was ready. "Remember, aim for their helmets," Frank told his people, as they watched the aliens disembark from their landing craft. "The sonic disruptors will be most effective there." The resistance fighters attacked from multiple directions, firing the handheld sonic weapons. The effect was immediate and devastating. Vorian soldiers collapsed, overwhelmed by the carefully calibrated sound waves that their brains simply couldn't process. Similar scenes played out in cities worldwide. The Vorian had expected to face military forces, not millions of civilians armed with weapons specifically designed to exploit their greatest weakness. Their advance slowed, then stalled. In space, the tide slowly turned as well. Human ships continued their guerrilla tactics, gradually whittling down the Vorian fleet. Commander Kennedy's Defiant led a particularly daring attack, using a small asteroid as cover to approach a Vorian command ship. The resulting battle left the alien vessel crippled, and the Defiant badly damaged but still operational. 17 days after the invasion began, the remaining Vorian ships gathered in high Earth orbit. Nearly 2/3 of their fleet had been destroyed or captured. Their ground forces were in full retreat, pushed back to their landing zones by a combination of military units and civilian resistance. Admiral Carter, watching from the Vigilant, received a surprising communication. The Vorian Supreme Commander was requesting terms. "They want to talk," he told Natalie, who stood beside him. "After all this, they actually want to negotiate." Natalie's expression remained hard. They didn't give the other 17 worlds that chance. "No," Carter agreed, "but we're not like them, and we're going to make sure they understand that." As Earth prepared for the first real diplomatic contact with the Vorian, news of humanity's resistance spread throughout the galaxy. Unconquered, worlds' oppressed species looked to the stars with something they had not felt in generations: hope. 6 months after the failed Vorian invasion, Earth was still rebuilding. Cities showed the scars of battle, but alongside the destruction, new structures were rising, some incorporating Vorian technology that had been captured during the conflict. Dr. Richard Boyd sat in his laboratory at the International Space Research Center, formerly known as NASA headquarters. His desk was covered with notes and diagrams as he studied the Vorian communication systems. At 45, Boyd had already been one of Earth's leading physicists before first contact. Now, he was also one of the few humans who could understand the complex mathematical language the Vorian used for interstellar communications. He was so focused on his work that he didn't notice Admiral Carter enter the room. "Making progress?" Carter asked, causing Boyd to jump slightly. "Admiral, you startled me." Boyd pushed his glasses up his nose. "Yes, significant progress, actually. I've managed to decode some of the transmissions our deep space arrays have been picking up." Carter pulled up a chair. "Anything useful?" "Very useful." Boyd tapped his computer screen. The Vorian weren't just talking to each other, they were communicating with other species. Conquered species. "What kind of communications?" "Mostly orders, status reports, but hidden within those transmissions." Boyd paused, his eyes bright with excitement. "There are other messages, carefully encoded. I believe they're from resistance movements on the conquered worlds." Carter leaned forward. "You're saying there are active resistance groups fighting the Vorian on other planets?" "Yes. And they've been trying to contact us." Boyd displayed a complex mathematical equation on his screen. This pattern kept appearing in the transmissions. At first I thought it was just part of their normal communications protocol, but it's too specific, too deliberate. It's a request for contact. "Have you responded?" Carter asked. "Not yet. I wanted your approval first. This could be a trap." Carter considered the possibilities. "Can you establish secure communications, something the Vorian couldn't intercept or trace?" "I believe so. The Vorian use predictable frequencies for their communications. If we use something completely different, perhaps based on quantum entanglement principles, they wouldn't even know we were talking." "Do it," Carter decided. "But be careful. Start with basic information exchange only. We need to know who we're dealing with before we commit to anything." Over the next few weeks, Boyd worked tirelessly to establish contact. Eventually, he succeeded. The first message came from a species called the Zorani, from a star system 12 light-years from Earth. They had been under Vorian control for over 70 years. More communications followed from the Pelnar and the Yo. Tesserites, both conquered species with active resistance movements. All had been watching Earth's battle against the Vorian with great interest. Humanity had accomplished what none of them had managed: successful resistance against the Dominion. 3 months later, Captain Grace Simmons stood on the bridge of the Unity, Earth's first true diplomatic vessel. Built using a combination of human ingenuity and captured Vorian technology, the Unity was designed for a very specific mission: to make contact with the resistance movements on conquered worlds. "Final systems check complete, Captain," reported her first officer, Lieutenant Ben Harris, all green across the board. "Thank you, Lieutenant." Grace looked around at her carefully selected crew, 20 of Earth's best, scientists, diplomats, and soldiers. Dr. Boyd was among them, as was Natalie Wright, whose experience with the Vorian made her invaluable. Admiral Carter's voice came through the comm system. "Captain Simmons, you are cleared for departure. Remember your mission parameters: establish contact, provide technical assistance, but avoid direct military engagement if possible. The Unity is too valuable to lose." "Understood, Admiral," Grace replied. "We'll be careful." Good hunting. Earth out. The Unity departed Earth orbit, using its advanced engines to accelerate to speeds no human vessel had ever achieved before. Their first destination was the Zorani homeworld, a journey that would have taken conventional spacecraft decades but would now take only months. The ship's stealth systems, reverse-engineered from captured Vorian technology, allowed them to slip undetected through space that the Dominion considered secure. When they arrived at the Zorani system, they positioned themselves in orbit around the system's outer planet, away from Vorian patrols. "Send the contact signal," Grace ordered. "Let's see if our friends are listening." Dr. Boyd transmitted the prearranged signal. Within hours, they received a response: coordinates for a meeting on the planet's surface. Grace selected a small team for the mission, including herself, Dr. Boyd, Natalie, and 2 security officers. They took one of the Unity's shuttles down to the coordinates, landing in a desolate, rocky area far from any settlements. Stay alert, Grace warned as they exited the shuttle. We don't know these people yet. They didn't have to wait long. From behind a large rock formation emerged 3 figures. The Zerani were unlike any species humans had encountered before, roughly humanoid but with 4 arms and skin that shifted colors like a chameleon. Their large, multifaceted eyes studied the humans with obvious curiosity. One stepped forward. "I am Nelox," it said, the words translated through a device Dr. Boyd had developed. "Leader of the Zerani resistance. You are the humans who defeated the Vorian?" "We are," Grace confirmed. "I'm Captain Grace Simmons of the Earth vessel Unity. We've come to offer our assistance." Nelox's skin rippled with bands of blue, an emotional response, though the humans didn't yet know what it signified. "For 70 years we have fought from the shadows, always hiding, always afraid. When we heard that a new species had actually repelled a Vorian invasion fleet," the translator couldn't quite capture the emotion in Nelox's voice. "It seemed impossible." "Not impossible," Natalie said. "Just very difficult. We were lucky to capture one of their scout ships years before the main invasion. It gave us time to prepare." "Luck had nothing to do with it," said another Zerani. "We've studied the battle records the Vorian tried to suppress. Your species possesses something the Vorian have never encountered before. Adaptability. Where others surrender, you find new ways to fight." "We've brought technology we think will help your resistance," Grace said. "Weapons that exploit Vorian, physiological weaknesses, communication systems they can't detect. And we've brought something else," Dr. Boyd added. "Something perhaps more valuable. We've established contact with other resistance movements, the Pelnar and the Tesserites. We believe that together, we can accomplish what none of us could do alone." Nelox's skin now pulsed with vibrant gold. "Freedom," the Zerani said simply. Over the following weeks, the Unity moved carefully between the 3 conquered worlds, delivering technology and coordinating strategy between the different resistance groups. They narrowly avoided Vorian patrols several times, their mission nearly discovered. But word spread quickly among the oppressed populations. The species that had defeated the Vorian had come to help them do the same. Where there had been isolated pockets of resistance, a true alliance was forming, the beginning of what would come to be known as the Galactic Liberation Front. 3 years had passed since the formation of the Galactic Liberation Front. What began as secret meetings between resistance groups had grown into a coordinated alliance that spanned multiple star systems. With Earth's leadership and technology, planets that had suffered under Vorian control for generations were beginning to free themselves. Admiral William Carter stood in the war room aboard the Vigilant, now the command center for the Liberation Fleet. Around him were representatives from Earth and the 3 formerly conquered species, the Zerani, Pelnar, and Tesserites. Each had brought unique abilities to the alliance. The Zerani's color-changing skin made them perfect spies. The Pelnar had an instinctive understanding of technology that helped them adapt and improve human designs. The Tesserites could communicate telepathically over short distances, making coordination during battles much easier. "The time has come," Carter said to the assembled leaders. "For 3 years we've been fighting defensive battles, freeing worlds one by one. But the Vorian keep coming back, drawing resources from their core systems. If we want to end this war, we need to strike at the heart of their power." He activated the holographic display in the center of the room, showing a star system none of them had seen before. Vorian Prime, their homeworld. Thanks to intelligence gathered by Zerani operatives, we now have detailed maps of their defenses. Nelox, who had become the Zerani's primary representative, pointed at the display. "Their planetary defense grid is formidable. No fleet has ever penetrated it." "No fleet has tried with the advantages we have," Carter replied. Their own technology turned against them. Knowledge of their physiological weaknesses and, most importantly, fighters from 4 species working together. He expanded the display to show a battle plan. "We'll need a special operations team to infiltrate their central command and disable the defense grid from within. Meanwhile, the fleet will engage their orbital forces to create a distraction. Lieutenant Daniel Foster stepped forward. At 32, he had become one of Earth's most decorated soldiers during the liberation campaigns. "I'll lead the ground team, Admiral." "I thought you might volunteer," Carter said with a grim smile. "Choose your team carefully. This mission has the highest priority and the highest risk." 2 weeks later, Foster stood in the hangar bay of the Liberation Fleet's flagship looking at the small team he had assembled, 12 individuals from all 4 allied species. They would be traveling to Vorian Prime aboard a captured Vorian shuttle, disguised as a supply ship. "This won't be like our previous missions," Foster told them. "We'll be deep in enemy territory with no backup. If we're caught, there won't be any rescue." A Tesserite named Ziv nodded. "We understand the risks, Lieutenant. We've all lost homes and families to the Vorian. This chance is worth any risk." The rest of the team murmured agreement. Foster looked at each of them. Humans, Zorani, Pelnar, and Tesserites working side by side. 3 years ago, none of them had known the others existed. Now they were risking their lives together. "Then let's go make history," Foster said. While the Special Operations team departed in their disguised shuttle, the Liberation Fleet prepared for what would certainly be the most challenging battle of the war. More than 200 ships had gathered, not just from Earth but from all the liberated worlds. Some were captured Vorian vessels, others were new designs that combined technologies from all 4 allied species. Admiral Carter gave the order to begin the operation. The fleet jumped to the edges of the Vorian home system, immediately engaging the patrol ships they encountered. The battle was fierce, with losses on both sides. But it served its purpose, drawing attention away from the small shuttle carrying Foster's team. The shuttle slipped through the chaos, transmitting fake identification codes that the Zorani spies had stolen. They landed at a supply depot near the Central Command Complex, quickly neutralizing the guards they encountered using silent versions of the sonic disruptors. "We have 12 hours before the fleet reaches optimal attack position," Foster told his team as they made their way through service tunnels toward the Central Command. "We need to disable the defense grid before then." They encountered more resistance as they got closer to their target. Vorian security forces were better equipped and more numerous here than on the outer worlds. Despite their careful planning, the team took casualties. A Pelnar engineer fell defending their retreat from a security patrol. 2 humans were badly wounded, disabling a security checkpoint. When they finally reached the main control room for the planetary defense grid, only 7 of the original 12 remained combat effective. They breached the doors using explosives, catching the Vorian operators by surprise. The fight was brief but intense. "Ziv, get to work on those systems," Foster ordered the Tesserite as the last Vorian defender fell. "We don't have much time." The Tesserite moved to the main control panel. "There's a problem. The system requires constant biometric authentication from a high-ranking Vorian officer. If the signal stops, the entire system locks down." Foster looked at the dead Vorian on the floor. None had the necessary clearance. "How long would it take to bypass?" "Hours that we don't have," Ziv replied. "But..." The Tesserite's multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly. "There's another option. I can reconfigure the system to accept a different form of constant input, but someone would need to stay connected to it manually." Foster understood immediately. "A sacrifice play." Ziv nodded. "Yes, someone must stay and maintain the connection until the fleet completes its attack." "I'll do it," Foster said without hesitation. "Lieutenant..." One of his human teammates began to protest. "That's an order. The rest of you get back to the shuttle. Get clear before the fleet arrives." After a moment of silence, they nodded. Each knew that arguments would only waste precious time. The team helped Ziv reconfigure the system, then said their goodbyes to Foster. "It has been an honor," said the Zorani team member, skin rippling with colors of respect and sorrow. "The honor was mine," Foster replied. "Now go. Make sure this wasn't for nothing." As his team retreated, Foster connected himself to the system, as Ziv had instructed. He felt a strange tingling as the machine accepted his biological input. Through the command room's view screens, he could see the planetary defense grid powering down section by section. High above, the Liberation fleet engaged the Varian home defense fleet. With the planetary grid disabled, they were able to push through to orbit around Varian Prime. The battle was the largest the galaxy had seen in living memory. Admiral Carter, watching from the bridge of the Vigilant, knew the cost had been high. Dozens of ships lost, thousands of lives, but when the last Varian defense vessel surrendered, he felt no triumph, only a solemn determination that such sacrifices must never be needed again. The Varian Supreme Commander was brought aboard the Vigilant to discuss terms. The alien was clearly shocked to be in this position. No enemy had ever reached Varian Prime, let alone forced their surrender. "Why do you fight with such determination?" the Supreme Commander asked Carter. "The other species we conquered eventually accepted their place." "That's the difference," Carter replied. "Humans don't believe any species should have to accept their place under another's rule. Freedom isn't just for us, it's for everyone." The peace terms surprised the Varian. Instead of the harsh punishment they expected, the Liberation Front demanded only the release of all conquered worlds and the formation of a galactic council where all species would have equal representation. "This is how the galaxy moves forward," Carter told the Varian leader. "Not through domination, but cooperation. Remember that the next time you think about challenging humanity, we're the species that doesn't lose, not because we're stronger or smarter, but because we never stop trying to build something better."